Hey guys, it's Dereka with Dereka's Designs, and today we're making this cute little gingy head. This is a really quick, simple attachment that you can make that is sure to just make everybody smile and looks really cute in a wreath with a sign or with other gingy picks and that sort of thing. It's not too big, but it's not, too small either. So it's really a great size. So for this pattern, we're only going to need the one piece of foam board. It doesn't require much because the little baking hat is just felt. So it's actually one of the more simple attachments that we do. But there's some steps you need to follow to make everything fit together properly. Now, I personally like to stuff my gingies with polyfill, but you can use quilt batting in place of the polyfill. It's 100% up to you. And what I mean, this is regular polyfill, loose stuffed animal polyfill. It's a name brand, but if you are wanting to use the quilt batting, this is also the name brand polyfill, but it's in sheets. It's like if you were making a quilt, of course, this is what you would put in between your layers of sewn fabrics, okay? So you can use either. I like the puffiness that the regular polyfill gives this little face here. Now, a few things on this. These little cookie gingies that I found, I got them at Hobby Lobby in the mini ornament section, but you can use whatever you want there. I was actually at a Walmart, and I wish I had picked them up, but in their miniature ornament section, they had little rolling pins, just little decorative rolling pins, and they were about 1.5 inches long. You could do something like that if you wanted it to be a boy gingy. You could eliminate the bow and just put a rolling pin up here, one of those little mini whisks or a wooden spoon. You don't have to follow this exactly like this is, but I just wanted to make this one cute with the little bow, right? But really, think about all the different options that you have. The Rick Rack you can get at Hobby Lobby as well. Pretty much everything here you can get between Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree, very inexpensively. You can get a 3-yard roll of the white Rick Rack at Hobby Lobby in their trim section, in the fabric section. Very inexpensive. You can get them half price every other week, right? The eyes and the little peppermints are vinyl. These are what we create in our shop. You can purchase the eyes here, or you can do your own eyes, guys. If you just want the black circles, then do the black circles. If you want to buy little peppermint candies and use those as the cheeks, you can. For your kit, you're going to get all of this, and you are able to purchase more of the eyes and peppermints from us on our webpage at derekasdesigns.com if you choose to. But really that choice is up to you, because once you have the pattern, you can recreate this however you want, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is get this lined up here. Now, I'm not putting any fabric up here because the little chef's hat part is going to have to be up here. So there's no reason to cover it, but I'm just making sure that my felt is, I have about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch all the way around. That gives me plenty of fabric to pull. And then I just pull this back, and I'm just going to make a line right here, right where I want the felt to stop, right there. Okay, that way, when we start stuffing polyfill in here, up inside of here, it's going to have a stopping point. It's not going to go any further than that. We have hot glue on the table. All right, so now I flipped it over. I'm just going to glue about there, enough that I can still get my hand in here. You leave yourself an opening if you're using now. If you're using quilt batting, you would have gone ahead and already glued it to this. All right, but make sure you're not gluing it to the top up here. You would glue it to this, trim around it, and then put your fabric over it, and then start the process of folding it around, okay? So now I'm just going to go down, since I'm using regular polyfill, I'm going to go down just part of the ways, leaving myself an opening so I can stuff this. And you just want to hold it a bit. Now, I'm going to let this completely cool before I start stuffing it, okay? As I do with all of my attachments, I always have all the pieces kind of working somewhat at the same time. That way, while one thing is cooling, I can be working on something else, and it just makes it easier for me. Now, this is the piece you can see right under the hat here, like the band of the baker's hat or the chef's hat, and that's what this piece is. So I'm just going to, on your pattern, there's a dotted line down the middle, because all you want to do is just fold it in half. I initially did it with just a single piece of felt, but I really liked the thickness of the folded piece. But really, you could do either. And when you look at it from here, this is a nice folded, nice clean edge. And then the cut edge, of course, is up this way. But I just like the way that looked. It looked more finished and wasn't as ragged. Because, it's hard to cut a straight line with scissors. Even with a rotary cutter, sometimes you have little edges. See, this is already starting to pull up. So I'm going to just reach over and give it a little more glue. It is fighting against me. It does not want to glue down. So we're going to hold that for a little bit longer, actually. Every time I put glue on it, it just pops right back up again. Sometimes you just have to take that extra step. Okay, so our little chef's hat, whatever. It's such a simple, easy design. But all we're going to do on this is glue it around the edges, leaving just the slightest bit to put a little bit of polyfill in here, just the slightest bit. Now you can, if you want to sandwich a piece of quilt batting in this right now, you absolutely can. And maybe you'd want to sandwich 2 pieces in, but you just need to make sure it's not sticking out past any of the edges of this white felt. Nobody wants to see it, right? So you just need to make sure if you're doing quilt batting, you want to cut it about 1/2 inch smaller than the pattern piece so that it doesn't stick out anywhere. And sometimes it'll get in the way of gluing the 2 pieces together. So that polyfill is just made of plastic, polyester. So hot glue doesn't stick really great to it. So if you have layers of quilt batting in here, like I said, cut them about 1/2 inch smaller than the pattern piece, and it'll be much easier for you. So I'm just going to, I put the 2 pieces together and I cut them together so they line up perfectly, right? But if they don't line up perfectly, you can always go back and trim them later. It's not a big deal. And then we're just going to drop that down. I need to let that cool for a minute, but now I can go back to this one. Now it's deciding to stay, so we will use our hand. Now, if you find you didn't really leave the biggest hole for your hand, you can always just pull out just a regular old wooden dowel. Just anything that has kind of a blunt edge on it that will help push the fabric into all the corners that you want it to go into. Just run your hand up in there, and you can use the dowel. Now, I like to take my left hand, because I'm right-handed, and I just like to feel it. And I want to make sure I don't have any, valleys or gaps where I don't feel the polyfill all the way across. It'll be really noticeable when after you've glued it all together, if there's a pocket where there's no polyfill. So just keep working it with your hand and make sure you're getting it all the way to these edges. That's what the dowel is good for. And then just keep putting it in there. And then I use my left hand. Oops. I'm just going to kind of smush it everywhere, make sure it's everywhere. Probably need just the smallest piece down here just to get this little bottom. Shove it in there. Make sure all of it is tucked in there, and then we will glue it. grab each little piece. I'm pulling it with my right hand, with my forefinger and thumb, and then I use my left hand to kind of hold it down. Now, I didn't give myself a whole lot of extra over here. Make sure when you're doing this that you're giving yourself enough to pull around. Even if it means you have to bring this down just a little bit here. Because, you know, like I said, we don't all cut things perfectly just because the pattern shows it one way. You know, like obviously right here, I cut it much shorter than over here and over here. It's okay, it still works, but you just give yourself more of a chance to burn your fingers. Nobody wants to burn their fingers. Okay, so now we had glued this little end section. So I'm just going to take a little bit of polyfill. Don't need a lot. I don't want it to look stuffed, and I certainly don't want to pull the hot glue apart that we have around there. So I'm just kind of using my finger to kind of flatten it. Again, quilt batting is fine for this if that's what you want. So I've just filled it part way. I don't need to fill it all the way, because when we go to put more in there, we'll get all the way in there using the dowel. So now I'm putting glue around the edge of the second little bubble area. Make sure they line up before you tap on them. This one you want to hold a little bit. This polyfill is going to want it to pull it apart. So you always want to make sure you're holding on to it. Just a sec, give it that moment. If any polyfill is going to seep out, it's probably going to be in these little corners here. So give it a second. All right, so now this piece that we glued is just going to go right across this band right there. Okay, so just put a few lines of glue on there. Get the band on there nice and straight with the folded side towards the face, so it's a nice clean edge. Now this is going to be covered up here, so you don't care what the cut side up here looks like. And you can see mine are not cut perfectly. They're overlapping, but that will not matter because that will all be covered by the top of the hat. So then you want to take this, you just want to glue these pieces down. And see how this one is open? I'm just going to put a little glue on the end here just to hold it down. Okay, so we have that. So you see how I kind of alternate between pieces while something is cooling, I work on something else. It's just how, you don't have to, you can just wait. If you want to just wait and let things cool off and then move forward, you can. Since I have everything cut out and I have everything prepped and ready, I just go ahead and I flip around through all the different things. I just look at my little pile. I have a pile to the side over here of all the pieces that go to this. And a lot of them will need little prep things. So I just go ahead and start prepping while other things are cooling off. Okay, so that's a little thick. So now, on this last one, I don't want to cover the very end, but I'm not going to, obviously not going to get my hands in there. I'm going to have to use the dowel. But I do need to close these edges here or I'll never get it, stuffed. So we're going to go like right to here. Like there's about this big of a gap where there's no glue. Again, set it down, make sure, and then we'll need to hold this again. Just give it that second to set. Okay. So now I'm looking over at my little thing. So one thing we can do, and you can do this before you put the band on it. I just thought about it, but we could have put this rickrack on before we put the band on. It's not going to be a huge deal because I can tuck it under. So I'm just going to cut a nice sharp edge and place the slightest bit of glue on that edge, just right on the edge. And we're going to set it in there. And I like to use scissors or something, or an X-Acto knife, and like try to get it up underneath the band. just a little bit there. That, it does not want to work with me. Let me find my other scissors. Where are they? Part of the rickrack folded back on itself. So I'm just going to give it a trim. There we go. But see, it's under there. It's glued, and I just used the scissors to kind of tuck it up under, and it looks fine. All right, so now it's important that you just do a thin line of hot glue right in the center of the rickrack, right? You don't want hot glue seeping out through the little zigzags on the rickrack. This will be very noticeable. But if you do have some, just let them cool off. If you do see a little bubble of hot glue, it's not the end of the world. Let it completely cool. And 9 times out of 10, you can just either pick it off with your fingernail or just cut it with these little pair of these, you know, sharp little snips. And the little bubble of hot glue will come right off. It's easier to get rid of hot glue if you let it cool and then use your fingernail, which usually works pretty well, to scrape it off. But if you try to smear it while it's hot, then you just have a mess, and the smear will not come off. You know, the smear, especially on black felt, the smear will be so obvious. You never want to do. You just want to let stuff dry. Let it completely cool off, and then go back and deal with it. Now this rickrack has a fold in it right here. These little, they're wanting to fold in like a taco. I don't like that, so I'm going to manually, that's probably a little too much glue, so I'm going to take some of that out of there. Manually use my finger to hold it down, each side. We don't want it folding up like a little taco. We want it to lay flat. And since when I draw my line, I'm not gluing these little ends, I'm only gluing right up the center. Oops. So if you have rickrack that does get a twist in it, just take a second and fold those individual little pieces down. Sometimes it comes that way, factory in the roll. You know, not much you can do about it, but you can try to make it look nice still. There we go. And I'm going to cut this end, just like we did the other one. Let's see. Just use these. Try to push it all under there. This rickrack wants to fray. The rickrack from Hobby Lobby does not fray like this. I've used it many times. This was just some that I had. It definitely wants to be difficult, but I think I got it. Okay, that's why if you want to put the rickrack on before you put the band on, you can eliminate having that step because you could just cover right over it, and then you don't have to worry about trying to tuck it in there with some scissors. I just wasn't thinking about it when I started it. That way. All right, so now we're going to finish stuffing just the end of this. I may not need the dowel. I like to just use my finger because I can feel in here. I can kind of push it to this side, push it to that side, and I know exactly where it is. And this does, like I said, don't stuff it tight. It's just meant to have that look like it's plush, not stuffed like a teddy bear, you know? Okay, so now we are going to seal the very end. So we've got, it's full of polyfill. I like to just do this, the tapping motion. That helps you feel, if there's a blob of glue that's going to come out, if you tap on it lightly, you'll see it, before it's able to get your fingers. So we're going to hold that because there's going to be some tension. The polyfill is going to create some tension, and it's going to want to pull this fresh hot glue apart. And now if you look at it, like right here, you might be able to see it. I see a little bit of glue coming out and a little bit of polyfill. So I just go back with a pair of scissors and I just give those little trims. So everything is nice and uniform. Excuse me. All right, so our cute little hat is just gonna glue on there just like that. Really not much more to it. I like to just put some glue on the flat surface. I feel like it's Easier to control to put it on here than it is to put it on the back of this. And then I just set my hat right where I want it, right in the middle here. You can, while the glue is warm, you can still kind of move it around, kind of give it, there we go. And because I didn't glue all the way to the top, I'm gonna go ahead and just now, while I have it, I'm gonna go ahead and put a line of glue right in that top part. So the whole thing will be glued down. Now we just hold it. Okay, we need to let that cool. So what we'll do is we will cut out our face pieces. Again, these are the vinyl printed peppermints and eyes. They are basically stickers. We just print them out on printable vinyl, and you can remove the backing and put them on things if you wanted. But since felt is such a fuzzy, shaggy fabric, the stickers don't stick well to felt. Okay, they just don't. It's not, if it was a nice, smooth, solid surface, I would say absolutely. These are the same kind of decals like you would put on the back of your car. If you want to put it on your cups, you know, your tumblers and things. They're just decals. They're vinyl decals. Now, you couldn't put it on shirts or things like that. It's not meant to, it's not an iron-on vinyl or a heat press type vinyl. It's just a sticker vinyl. If you've ever had stickers in your life or decals or something, that's exactly what these are. So we are just cutting them out. So I'm leaving the backing on there. I'm not going to cut the backing or tear the backing off. And we're just going to hot glue it. You cannot take the backing off and hot glue the actual vinyl because the hot glue will melt your vinyl. You have to keep that paper backing on it. So we have lots and lots of different eyes available. They're designed by my daughter, Ollie. She does each one. And if you go to derekasdesigns.com, you can look to see, and in the description of each eye kind of gives you the size of it. They're all different sizes. So we make eyes per our projects, but we don't necessarily go back and offer them in all different sizes. That would just be an insane amount of work. And we just don't have time for it at the moment. So at the moment, we only have the one size available. So you can see if you pull it apart, it's just a sticker. It's just a regular old sticker. You could put it on anything, you know. So, but the great thing about this, it's not just a sticker, it's the fact that we can print on it. And that way we can print our custom things. And that's what makes those special, because not everybody can print on printable vinyl. It takes a special printer to do that. Okay, so now we're going to, when I make my faces, I always try to do the nose first. Like get the nose, get the center of the face, kind of where you want it. A little mouth. Cute little eyes. See, if your nose is too high, then your eyes will be way up here, and I think it's a little bit too high. But if your nose is kind of centered, and you don't want everything way up here. It just doesn't look right. You definitely want your nose in the very highest center point part of your face, and then you can bring your eyes down to meet the nose, and then you can put your mouth here and still have room for your little peppermints here. So that might be a little too squish. Now with this one, I spread the eyes out really far. With this one, I'm going to put them in closer just to show you how where you place your eyes is how you can change the look and the attitude of your attachments. Like just literally, if you tilt them in this way, they have a whole different look. You tilt them out this way, whole different look. Put them in like right next to each other. Whole different look. So you just kind of figure out how you want them to look just by eye placement. It really can change everything about the way your attachment looks. Okay, so we have the nose in place. We know that's where we want the nose. Okay, so now I'm going to glue down the felt part of the mouth here. Just like that. Okay, so those pieces are in place. I'm going to go ahead and glue our little cheeks on the ends of the, and again, hot glue directly on the paper backing. I'm just going to line it up right there next to it. Just like that. I'm going to hold it for just a second. It's hot, so if you have a little piece of silicone or something, or just a paper towel or something, it's hot, but it's not burning. It's just really warm. Okay, so now I'm going to decide where I want my eyes. I can do them straight up and down. Super, that's very cute. I like that. I can do them, because remember, these ones I did far out. These ones I want to put closer in. So I could kind of do more like that. Oh, I like that a lot. Really close. And then of course you can go outwards with them, which is, when you go outward with them like that, it almost gives the illusion that there are cheeks. See how that line, that black line under the eye, makes it look like there are big poofy cheeks here. And I kind of like that too. So let's just, I'm gonna try them again because I want to see them all on the camera. So that is cute. That's there's nothing wrong with that. He looks very playful. Inside, kind of facing towards the nose. Okay, and then outwards like this, facing towards the cheek. I think I like that one the best. So we're gonna do that. My glue strings are wild today. So again, we want to hold it. It's warm, but if you have a little scrap of felt next to you, or just something you can kind of put between it and your fingers, it's not going to burn you. It's just warm, you know. You're not actually touching hot glue, but we just try that. I like to do this right in front of my face like this, so I can really try to get the eye on there just right so that they're even. That looks pretty good. And again, push it down, give it a good push to make sure that all that hot glue is getting inside the fibers of that felt. So those are cute little eyes too. And you can just see how, just by moving them inward a little bit and making a point, making the bottoms go a different direction, it changed the whole look of your cute little Gingy. Something else I want to do with this one. Let's see. I have a black paint pen. Now, this is totally optional, but I'm going to do little smile lines. I'm not going to do eyebrows because I don't know if I like eyebrows. I'm just going to do a couple little smile lines on one of these and see if I like it. But first we're going to make our bow. Now I always cut off a strip about, I don't know, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, something like that. It's going to be covered, so it doesn't matter. It's just for the center of the bow. And I cut off the ends that have the wire in it. You don't really need that. Okay, so now we're going to roll our ribbon into a circle, place hot glue all the way down the end, and put this on it. Okay. So you made a circle, right? You just made a circle. Now you just have to kind of bend the wire to where that seam there that you just created is in the center. But you don't want to smush it down because you don't want the glue going through the front side. Just that'll give you, it's just, you got to scrunch it all up together, and you don't want the front side to be resistant to the back side where the glue is. So now once it's cooled a little bit, just push down the center part, and you need to scrunch it all together. like that. See, made a little bow tie. So now what I do is I take the little piece that I cut off first and place it in the center of that. And I'm still holding it, I haven't let it go yet. So I'm gonna put some glue down here at the bottom. I'm gonna use my finger and fold it over. Now it's a little hot, so make sure you're not putting too much glue on there. I'm still pinching it, I'm still scrunching it down with my other finger. Place just the slightest bit of glue on the top piece, grab it, and then fold it over. And then you can take a piece of silicone or whatever you have handy and just scrunch it down. Like that. Then when you flip it over, you have a cute little bow tie. You can open it up and fluff out the wire and the little edges. Like that, okay? I do have a couple little frayed pieces. I'm just gonna snip them. Okay, so now I'm gonna glue just in the center. You don't need a lot of glue to put this on here. And I'm gonna hold it down wherever I want it. Again, if you don't want Bo on here, if you want to make him more of a masculine looking Gingy, then don't put anything up here. You can just put a big button. You can put, like I said, a rolling pin, just whatever you can find. You don't have to do the bow. Okay, and then I have the cute little mini gingerbread ornament. It's a little gingerbread cookie ornament. And now the hot glue does not like to stick to this rubbery stuff, but just try to get it on there the best you can. If it does pop off, just be mindful. All you have to do is re-hot glue it. It's just a rubbery substance, and hot glue doesn't really like hard solid surfaces like metal or plastic or rubber, that sort of thing. So I'm going to take my pen. I'm not going to do anything really drastic here, but I just want a couple little laugh lines like that. I know you probably can't see it there. You can see it a little better. Just little bitty laugh lines. Just like that. I think it's cute. I'm going to add them to this one too, since I've got it sitting here in front of me. 1, 2. These little paint pens come in very handy for stuff like this. When it's just a little, you just want a little. Like I don't need big eyelashes and stuff. It's just a Gingy, but I just wanted a little bitty laugh lines in there. So that's it. See how cute she is? And you can obviously make this however you want it. Make them, and just by change, look at the change in the eyes. I think it's adorable. I think you can make your little guy look however you like, but it's super simple. It's a very easy pattern to follow, very minimal supplies, and it's great for a beginner. But think about this. I mean, you can still sell these. You can put these all over your Christmas tree. You can put them in wreaths and whatever you like. They're just the perfect size. I think they, oops, I need to go over here because my board is upside down. They are about 12 inches tall by about 10 inches wide, which is such the perfect size, right? Just absolutely the most fun for Christmas holidays. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this pattern, and I cannot wait to see when you start making them. Thanks, guys.